Greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to stand here this blessed Lord's Day. Before I begin, I want to kind of make an announcement. I don't know if y'all were aware that the 17th of last week, it was Constitution Day. Anybody was aware of that? Well, just in case if you don't know, our Constitution was written for the American citizens against the government when bad leaders get in office. And I guess that's perhaps why a lot of the politicians are not even, keeping their oath that they made. Along with this, I just scribbled this information down. I got it in my own handwriting, and I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. But this is John Adams. Anybody remember John Adams, the second president, and the first president to live in the White House? Well, he did a peculiar thing. Well, it may not have been done that day. He called a National Fasting Day in March 6th of 1799. A National Fasting Day. John Adams, our second president, and he wrote, I guess, an article, and he says, quoting, "Suppose a nation in some distant region should take the Bible for their only law book, and every member should regulate his conduct by the precepts there exhibited. Every member would be obligated in conscience to temperance, frugality, which means no waste, economical, and industry, to justice, kindness, charity towards his fellow men, and to piety, love, and reverence toward Almighty God." He said, what a utopia, what a paradise would this region be? That's from your second president, John Adams, called a National Fasting Day. Now, there's a reason I read that, because basically, we're going to speak to you this afternoon on a subject that is dealing with fasting. And the title is Healing or Power and Profits. That's the title. Healing or Power and Profits. Have you ever noticed that American people get much sicker more often than a lot of European people in other industrial countries? Since the mid-90s, the number of Americans suffering from chronic diseases such as asthma, I know several friends that suffer from, my sister, for example, and another friend suffering from asthma, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and all these has doubled. What is really happening, though? Well, I'll give you an idea. Well, a little over 22 years ago, scientists have started tinkering with our food supply. Oh, yes. And what they did is they take the genes from one species and created new organisms that didn't even exist in nature at all. and those organisms that are now part of our food supply, almost everything that we eat. And I'm talking about crops that have been genetically engineered to either produce their own pesticides or withstand mega doses of herbicides. And those herbicides are known right now as Roundup. You probably heard about that, Roundup. Well, they use that to spray these crops. A lot of farmers do that, and they kill weeds, and they leave the soil plants intact. Now, the producers claim that all of this would produce more crop yields, which means they'll make more money. As a result, since 1996, genetically modified organisms, or GMO, has increased rapidly throughout the United States. You see. Now, the key point here is that the producers can't make money off of natural seeds. I don't know if you realize that. So they develop seeds to have total control over the market. This is what they do. Now, can you imagine what this represents? Not only profits, but power for them, you see, over the unsuspected and many gullible and unwitting guinea pigs, the American citizens. And we're consuming potentially harmful food substances. Now, we are unknowingly forced to be guinea pigs. We don't even know it. Did you know it? Are you aware of it? Are you being paid to be guinea pigs? I don't think so. Now, don't you find it strange and peculiar that you and I spend more on health care than the average person in any other country in the world? We do that. People in France, United Kingdom, Switzerland, Norway, and other developed countries, you know what, they outlive us. Well, especially the people in France, I guess they consume a lot of wine, and that, you know, the ingredients in wine probably helps. But they outlive us. So why are we not living longer? Despite the we are living in what we supposedly is a superpower nation with money, with top surgeons, doctors, and hospitals. Matter of fact, most of you are aware that we have just completed the largest health center in the world, in the United States, I'll say, in New Orleans, right there between Canal and Tulane. Acres of buildings that they put up within maybe a year or two. That's the largest health center in the United States. I don't know if you are aware of that. But the problem is, the key is that producers of seeds, these GMO seeds, they are patentable, which means that they make money, you see. And that means that we're talking about billions of dollars in sales. For example, a company called Monsanto controls about 90% of the market sale. And it dominates the GMO industry, Monsanto. And I'm told that they have a lot of billionaires that invest in Monsanto. Farmers who buy Monsanto's patented GMO seeds, they sign a contract. And this contract restricts them in using the seeds. They can't, they can only use the seeds for 1 year. They can't save any seeds. They can't use the seeds as leftovers, which means that a lot of people are getting rich and they're becoming very, very powerful. This is how the system works. It doesn't matter. And it's a win-win situation for the farmers and the biotech companies, yes, because hey, they're making more money. But the thing is, there's a big problem, a huge problem. The scientific evidence reveals that GMO crops may be extremely dangerous to your health, your kids' health, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews, your uncles, and everybody you can name. It's dangerous to your health. Now, if you, as anyone in your family, eats any kind of processed foods, like cereals, cookies, cakes, chips, crackers, muffins, mac and cheese, chicken nuggets, it's very likely you're eating genetically modified soy. It's very likely you're eating GMO foods. We're being, at this time, denied the right to know what's in our foods. I don't know if you're aware of that. A right that more than actually 50 other nations, including China and Russia, offer their citizens. Yes. They offer the correct information to their citizens, whereas we don't get that information, you see. Monsanto, as I mentioned, is the only company that has a 90% share of the GMO seeds. The sad part about it is that U.S. officials, and I can't really make this stuff up, they have written a law to protect Monsanto for any lawsuits that you and I may happen to find out about them putting out these GMO seeds. But the political people have written a law to protect them from lawsuits. Now, apparently, American citizens and the health of your kids and my kids and nieces and nephews and uncles and everybody, our health doesn't matter to them, apparently, because they won't tell us the truth. I'm told that the more GMO foods you consume, it's the less human you become. Now, the question is, I thought about this when I went over this. I said, well, what am I going to become? You know, if I continue to eat these GMO foods unknowingly, huh? It gets even worse. Buried inside some 44,000 internal memos from the FDA show its own scientists agree that GMO foods could create unpredictable, unsafe, hard to detect allergens, toxins, diseases, and nutritional problems in your system. Their own scientists, their own FDA scientists. But in other words, the government agencies have intentionally, diabolically unleashed a host of potential harmful foods onto the American dinner table without them knowing it. Now, did you know, or are you aware that, and I just learned about this a few weeks ago, that you can get cancer from drinking some kinds of milk? Yeah, milk. Cows for the past 20 years have been injected with a GMO hormone known as RBST. So you might want to go to your fridge and see if your milk has RBST free. Matter of fact, I think one of the reasons it was brought to my attention because weeks ago, I don't know if you all remember, someone brought some milk and it was RBST free, which is good. And it had it on the, I don't know if you all noticed it, it had it on the box, you see. Now, farmers inject this RBST into cows every 2 weeks to increase hormonal activity. In other words, it's boosting the production of milk by at least 25%. which means that more money for them. That's great for the dairy producers and biotech companies. More money. Apparently, that's all it's about, money. But here again, there's a problem. The hormone has been linked to various types of cancers. Yes. Now you got, they're telling me that 27 countries of the European Union, like Canada, Japan, Switzerland, New Zealand, all have banned its use, this RBST, this milk that's injected with this hormone, especially the milk that is destined for human consumption. But sadly, only U.S. allows RBST in milk. The Cancer Prevention Coalition have submitted several petitions to FDA to ban this hormone. I mean, several. They tried to stop them, you know. But the FDA just ignored them, you know. Now, this hormone, according to research, increases the risk of breast cancer in sevenfold in women under 50. Well, somebody said, well, it don't affect men. Well, hey, it does. It increases man's risk of developing prostate cancer by 9-fold. Dr. Jenny Papaleo, she's a physician at Kaiser Permanente in Oregon, and she reveals that, hey, this has been known for years that this hormone affects the humans. This hormone is linked with cancer, and it affects the endocrine system, you see, in humans. Now, perhaps this is why the United States have the highest rates of cancer in the world. Yes, we do. It seems like we have the highest rates of everything that's bad, and everything that's good, we got the lowest rates, you see. But I was going over this, and I'm saying, well, this Dr. Papaleo, she's aware that this has happened for years, but what about the Hippocratic oath that they take? I don't know if she's the doctor that really take those oaths, but it's supposed to protect, you know, the average person. You know, they can't do certain things, but when you look at what's going on, I don't know if you realize it, but if a doctor, for example, you have a ailment, and he knows that a certain ingredient, a thing, really will save you or heal you, if he gives that to you without the AMA permission, he might lose his license. Oh, yeah. You see, it's all about the money. There are many, for example, cures for cancer, but the AMA won't allow the doctors to use it. Now, with the help of the FDA, GMO foods have spread throughout our food supply. It's virtually everywhere you look, places that you're not aware of. The question is, why the FDA put Americans at risk? I really, when you think about it, I can answer that in one word. You can either say greed or money. You know, that's it. That's the bottom line. Now, if you believe this statement, and I'm sure maybe some of you have heard this statement, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. If you heard that statement before, perhaps you do need help. But a lot of things, you don't need no help from the government. Now, they might help in some instances. I'm not going to, stand here and say, oh, the government don't help nobody, But the Deputy Commissioner for Policy at FDA in 1993 has strong links to Monsanto. He worked for the company before joining the FDA. And I think that's why Mexico and a lot of other nations know the pedigree of FDA, and this is why they call FDA the Food and Debt Administration. The Food and Debt Administration. A lot of us believe for years in the FDA. Didn't have the FDA approval, we won't eat that meat. I'm sorry, you've been hoodwinked. You've been snookered. You've been bamboozled all along. Are your children and grandchildren suffering from chronic ear infections, coughs, runny nose, headaches, eczema, itchy skin, frequent sleepiness, crankiness, or sickness? Perhaps, maybe their immune system is overreacting to the hormones of that apparently, supposedly healthy glass of milk, or that soy protein that's in virtually every processed food, or that high fructose corn syrup that sweetens everything from sugar-free cereals to whole bread. You see, kids, my friends, are much more sensitive to toxins than we are. They're very vulnerable to GMO foods. Nevertheless, miraculous healing is a controversial subject because some people claim that Jesus wants to heal everybody. Huh? You see, Jesus healed people on a regular basis in his ministry. And thankfully, God is still in the healing business, especially after realizing that, hey, it's not all our fault that we're sick. We've been hoodwinked. We've been snookered by the FDA and all of the IRS and CIA and the NASA and et cetera, et cetera. These people want to eliminate millions of people. I don't know if you realize that. You see, the government had played their part, but how can we and others experience healing in our lives? Well, turn with me to 3 John, and you're familiar with it. It's nothing new that we're going to reveal, basically, and you know it. And I can really say the verse, but I want to turn to it. 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. You hear that? So God is concerned about us, concerning health, but you're putting priorities here. You see, as our soul prospers, then then our health. You see. Now turn to Matthew, the 9th chapter, and the 35th verse. 9:30, 35. And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. You see? So God is concerned about us, and He want to heal us. Now, also turn to Mark, the 6th chapter, 54. 6:54. And when they were come out of the ship, straightway they knew him and ran through that whole region round about and began to carry in beds those that were sick, where they heard he was. And whatsoever he entered into the villages or cities or streets and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment. And as many as touched him were made whole. Now, I don't know if you're realizing that, but that's a lot of faith. God didn't even have to pray for them. He said, if they can get near him and just touch the hem of his garment, they would be made whole. That's a lot of faith. Now, continuing, how can we experience healing? Number one, admit the need for healing. First, you got to admit that you're sick. You see? See, our pride, we have to become humble. Some people never experience healing because they're too prideful to ask for it, you see. And then, second, humble yourselves before God, and he will lift you up. James 4 and 10 indicates that. James 4 and 10. Now, the third is believe God is able to heal you. You see? Jesus traveled throughout all the towns and villages in that area, teaching in the synagogues and announcing the good news that the kingdom, and he healed about the kingdom, and he healed every kind of disease and illnesses. See, God uses doctors and others to bring healing to people's lives. But Christ is the only one who can bring health, hope, and healing to everyone in the area and to our lives, you see. Now, turn with me to Matthew, the 8th chapter. We're going to see what a lot of the people, the 8th chapter and the 5th, starting at the 5th verse. And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lied at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speaketh the word only, and my servant shall be healed. See how much faith he has? For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, go, and he goeth, and to another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. And when Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. In the 11th verse it says, and I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said unto the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self-same hour. You see how much faith the centurion has. You see? Now, why does God heal some and other times he don't heal others? When we pray for healing, God may answer yes one time and maybe no next time, or maybe not yet, and others. To experience healing, we must cooperate with God's instructions. In other words, we must be obedient to experience healing. Now, the Bible gives us several steps for healing. One is forgive others and yourself. That's the crucial step. forgiving others and yourself first. Second, bring your concerns to God in prayer. Third, confess your sins to one to another. You see? Now, let's look at, quickly turn to Second Corinthians. And let's find out what happened to Peter. And let's see, 12 and 8. 2 Corinthians 12 and 8. Second Corinthians 12 and 8. And he says, for this I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Now here, God didn't heal him. You see, that's just one instance. Now let's turn to Matthew 17 and 20. Matthew 17 and 20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. So Christ is saying that all you need is a grain of mustard seed is very, very small. So Christ is not saying that we need a whole lot of faith, but enough to move mountains, you see. Now, what did Jesus do after 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness? Well, just after Jesus was baptized, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, and where he fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Now, the body gets a little, extremely hungry after the lack of food. Now, many have discovered that in that situation, some negative things seem to happen in series, one after the other. So just after Jesus is feeling these hunger pains, what happens? Satan comes up. At the very time Jesus was hungry, 40 days and 40 nights fasting, and he asked Jesus, if you really are, now see, Satan already knew he was. So he already know he was the Son of God. He's saying, Satan's saying, if you really are the Son of God, turn these stones into what? Bread, so you can eat. However, Jesus uttered the famous lines. He said, man does not live by bread alone, but by what? Every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. This is what he said. Now, when you read the story, you'll know that Jesus meant a spiritual nourishment over physical subsistence. Yet, in the context of God's healing code, there's another hidden meaning in this story. What did Jesus do after 40 days and 40 nights fasting? 40 days, he fasted. Yeah, right. Now, there's more to it than one reason why Jesus wanted us to fast. And since 1930, scientists have discovered that fasting is a method that has proven to make you live longer. It is said, the less you consume, the longer you live. I don't know if you agree with that, but yeah, scientists and other authorities have said so. Now, when you align the details from the story with the cutting-edge cancer research, combine the two, and the results is a revolutionary way to cure cancer with no side effects and without spending a lot of money. You see, fasting, my friends, kills cancer. This is what the authorities say. Now, scientists call this process, well, I call it DSR. It's a differential stress response. Now, the normal cells responds to mild stress and on a period of fasting by going into a survival mode, which slows down and conserving energy. However, the cancer cells just keep going and going and going and going like an energy bunny. Huh? Now, at least they try to. So when cancer cells continue to divide and grow like a fungus, and a lot of doctors say cancer is a fungus, you don't get that the food they need. You see, when cancer, these unhealthy cells continue to try to eat up stuff, but if they don't get the proper food, you see, that they need to grow, something miraculous happens. A dramatic change takes place. A tumor, for example, which is cancer, the growth slows down. And soon after, the cancer cells begin to die off, which is known as apoptosis. We've mentioned this before. Now, research indicates that the fasting greatly reduces the horrific side effects of chemotherapy. Yes, it does, and actually makes chemo more toxic to cancer cells and less harmful to the healthy cells. Now, Dr. Walter, spelled with a V, V as in Vex, Walter Longo, he is one of the top cancer researchers in the world. Walter Longo. He says, now don't leave here repeating that I said it, but this doctor says that fasting alone could soon replace chemotherapy. That's what he said, Dr. Longo. And now that could happen, but I guess I'm a little doubtful. What about the greedy, hungry political environment of today? The AMA and all these other organizations that supports the doctors and their pharmaceutical products. They force the doctors to use chemotherapy and radiation and everything else. Matter of fact, let me tell you a personal story. Two relatives died this year. And, well, one had breast cancer. The gallbladder got infected. And the doctor says, oh, you don't need this gallbladder. So he removed the gallbladder. And matter of fact, the same person, relative, had the same thing. Breast cancer, developed gallbladder, inflammation of the gallbladder, and the doctor removed the gallbladder instead of trying to heal the gallbladder through diet or something similar, which can be done. But I'm saying that to say that doctors don't care about you being healed. All they care about is making money, especially AMA. So that's all I'm saying. Now, however, he's saying that while fasting may someday replace chemo, the key thing is, too, that fasting also speeds up the total destruction of tumors dramatically. Did you know that? That's why God have that fasting in there, I think. To recap, so if you and your loved one is battling cancer, I'm not a doctor, but all I'm saying is that you need to check into it. I strongly suggest you use fasting as a treatment regimen. Although there are many other cancer curing remedies, to which I'm not going to go into. Now, fasting 40 days and 40 nights, some probably can do it. It might be extreme, but hey, everyone is different, and you must decide for yourself what you might do. You might just go ahead and follow what the doctor says. Say, hey, it really doesn't matter. That's your decision. Now, there are different types of fasts. Now, the one that we are supposed to use, I guess, this Wednesday is a total fast, no food, no water. Then you got other fasts. You got water-only fasts, in which you'll use about 80 ounces of water for 1 to 3 days. You got a juice fast that use 80 to 100 ounces of juice, no matter what you use, for 2 to 5 days. You can have a carrot fast, or lemon, or apple, or beets, or cereal fast. There are different types of fasts. So how does cancer cells develop and grow? Well, let me tell you. Well, let's return back to the comeback to Satan when Jesus was asked that question by Satan. Christ said, "Man does not live by bread alone." So what did Jesus actually mean when he said that? Well, I'll tell you. One thing, when bread is consumed, you're giving cancer the main food it requires to grow, spread, and metastasize, which is spread, in other words. It's not only bread, but anything your body converts to glucose or sugar. Now, this equals nearly all carbohydrates. Now, Bob, what are you saying? Well, I'm saying that cancer cells feed on glucose. This is what the authorities say. It's not just their preferred fuel, it's the only fuel cells use to survive. The bottom line is healthy cells can adapt to the absence of glucose by burning fat for energy. This is the healthy cells. They can do that. And by the way, the gallbladder is a filter for fats. And if the doctor cut it out, what's going to happen? I don't know. They need to give them some medicine for that, you know. However, unhealthy cells, because of their genetic defect, cannot burn fat for energy. They can't do it. They only feed on glucose. This is what the doctor said now. So that said, how can you exploit this vital info to its fullest? Well, first of all, stop feeding cancer. You can research it for yourself. You ain't got to take my word. No. How? Well, combine the regular fast with the diet that restricts carbohydrates and replace them with moderate amounts of protein and healthy fats. Metabolic therapy, this is what they call it, a ketogenic diet. This is meat, seafood, eggs, non-starchy veggies. This is what it consists of. You see, God wants us to really study His Word and find out what He means by what He's saying. God wants us to be watchful and prayerful. Study His Word, apply it to our lives so that we won't be deceived by the God of this world. Now, there was a group of German researchers that published exhaustive reviews of over 160 studies of diet and cancer. And guess what? All those studies led to one thing, that metabolic therapy of fasting and on a special diet, it works. This is what they say. It works. Now, perhaps this is maybe one of the reasons why Christ never was sick, because He was obedient and He followed God's instructions. We have to do it. Either that, you'll get sick. But unbeknownst to us, some people are causing us to be sick, and we don't even know it. But turn to, in closing, Matthew 26 and 41. 26 He says, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And then I want to say that Hebrews 13:8, and most of you know it, Jesus the same yesterday, today, and forever.